Okay, today is going to be one of the bravest topics up to date for me so far. So I am scared, but I shall proceed because you cannot be courageous without being scared first. If you've clicked on this video, you already know what the topic is, so I'm just gonna come out with it. This is my confession of being a misogynist. Yep, I used to hate women and I didn't even know it. I just avoided them. I had no female friends. I only had male friends. And if they had a girlfriend, ugh, it was so annoying. Just because I really did not like being in their presence. I did not like women. I did not trust women. I thought women were too emotional, too dramatic. They were really needy, jealous, passive aggressive, like really indirect, which I really disliked. I really liked how guys were direct and they would like tell me to my face, whereas women were just like, I certainly didn't want to open up to them. I didn't feel good around them. And that was due to the way that I was brought up. And the females that I came across were mostly quite wounded. I did not experience having like healthy relationships with women, which honestly makes me so sad. I learned to not trust women, to fear women. I did not trust women in positions of power. I thought if they were powerful, they would abuse their power. And I was more likely to put my trust into male authority. I also used to compete with other women for male attention. Whenever I was like asked to be in a female setting, I would just dread it. I would have all kinds of like critical thoughts, judgmental thoughts, and I just wanted to get the hell out of it. That is how disconnected I was from my own femininity. The truth is that I think a lot of women have what is called internalized misogyny. I didn't think that I was a misogynist. I didn't even know what the word meant. Why I'm bringing this topic up is because I think it's so important that we talk about it as society and raise awareness. But I think fearing and hating women is not the way to go forward. What do you think? Maybe this video will resonate with you and it will bring you to some kind of an awareness in yourself, which I would hope, and that's pretty much the reason why I'm making this video. So what happened for me was that I did start noticing that I had this unhealthy relationship towards women, and I chose the exposure therapy. So I basically made myself go into spaces with only females. And that was a bit of a shock for me to start with. I started choosing female relationships. So for instance, when I was doing my master's degree, I specifically wanted to choose a woman to work with so that I could start practicing having those female relationships and start building trust with other women and start collaborating with them. And from there on, I started attending female circles. It was quite overwhelming for my nervous system to start with, okay? So I think this was during COVID. So this was an online thing. Honestly, I was so judgmental and so critical, but I became aware of those thoughts. And that is the first step that we need towards changing our attitude towards women. And if we could change that, if we can see that within ourselves and make small steps towards changing that, the change that we could make in the world would be massive. Over time, what happened was I started getting more and more comfortable in these spaces, and I not only started to trust women, I started creating female friendships that are so rich and deep. I could not imagine that like 2 years ago. To be in presence of women is so healing. Women working together is honestly one of the most beautiful things I have ever experienced. And I would wish that for everybody. And I want to point out that I still get intimidated by women, but instead of allowing myself to go into negative competition, I instead choose to get inspired by them. Now I perceive women as just these magical, divine creatures that are so resilient, that are so complex. And yeah, sure, they're emotional, but it is beautiful. And I think maybe the reason why I was afraid of their emotions was because I was afraid of my emotions. It was a reflection of how I felt about myself. I think what was happening for me, and what might be happening for a lot of you, and let me know if you feel this way, was that I was afraid to be in my feminine because of what society tells us about feminine being weak, unstable, any of those negative connotations of being a woman. And so it was easier for me to think of myself as one of the guys. I always said, you know, I'm not like the other women, I'm not like the other girls. And I took pride in that, as if that was a good thing. But it was me rejecting a part of me that I didn't even know. And I think this might be the truth for a lot of us, where we learn from an early age that being a woman is somehow negative or less than. And it's time that we choose to consciously change that. I did not have a positive relationship towards the feminine side of me. And we all have a feminine and a masculine side. And honestly, I think I still have a little bit of this internalized misogyny that shows up. Listen to this. When I talk to ChatGPT, I think of it as male, always. ChatGPT usually gives me advice, listens to my problems, but I still think of it as a guy. And I have a problem thinking of it as a woman. Why? So that's for me to work out. I'm curious to know if you can think of any other examples, maybe from your own life, where internalized misogyny shows up in society. So to conclude, I think misogyny is a learned behavior. That means we can actually unlearn it. And if we do, I think society is going to be so much better. I think that the wounded relationship with the feminine is actually responsible for what the world looks like right now. And so if we can change that, we would create a very different world. And I think the world needs to learn to not be afraid of vulnerability, to not be afraid of softness. And that is revolutionary. The feminine is not to be dominated. It is to be celebrated. And it took me a long time to learn that. There's nothing more beautiful than a woman helping and lifting up another woman. And I would really love to see more of that in the world. I mean, I have that, but I wish that for you. I really do. I would love to hear about whether you have resonated with anything that I said. I would love to read your comments and engage in a discussion about this, but please try to be respectful if you can. And I hope that me being brave and authentic and just showing up with my truth and sharing how it was for me in the past and the transformation that I went through, hopefully it can inspire you to do the same. Because I think that if we can change our relationship towards the feminine, whether that is inside us, in society, towards Mother Nature, I think that would be revolutionary, and I want that for us. So if you resonated with any of this, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel for more open, honest, authentic conversations that I think need to be had, and I will see you next time.